Hey, what's up everyone? This video is going to be about the absurdity of what we see happening in the world around us today. So, if you haven't heard this already, a Tennessee restaurant owner faced death threats for hosting a GOP breakfast. So, basically the whole town, everyone, all these people, they were all over social media and in person. They were making hateful phone calls, hate speech. Imagine if this had been the other way around. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. So Marsha Blackburn was, and she thanked that restaurant owner for letting her stay there and renting off part of the room for her to do a GOP dinner, or breakfast, sorry. I'll go ahead and read some of the article. The owner of a restaurant in Tennessee, I believe it was in Wilson County, Tennessee, in the Mount Juliet area. The restaurant in Tennessee said that the owner received death threats after renting out one of his rooms for a Republican candidate. Republican Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee is running for Senate and held a campaign breakfast in a room at Courtney's restaurant in Mount Juliet. A picture published by the local newspaper, the Wilson Post, shows Blackburn behind a serving counter helping serve potential voters breakfast on October 13th. Tom Courtney, the owner of Courtney's, said that after renting the room to Blackburn, he has been called a Nazi, an abuser, a racist, and even faced multiple death threats. This is ridiculous. His staff has also been verbally attacked, including the 17-year-old who was left in tears after a caller verbally abused her. I mean, it's getting to the point where you can't even give your political opinion unless you're Democrat. I mean, what if, and I could cite many things, but I don't want to get into trouble, but I could cite many things that are very one-sided, very, very one-sided. If they had thrown a Democratic, I mean, even in the state of Tennessee to receive that kind of, I mean, it just, you would think that in a majority Republican area that they would not have received such hate. You see such hate from the other side, in a side promoting love, 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 love. They all claim to promote love, but then when the election didn't go their way, they put out death threats. And it used to be, I don't know about you, but I remember a time when it was a crime to put out death threats against the president. Or when they send rice into the president, you never find out anyone charged. You never find anyone charged of who sent it, many of the times, not every time. Or death threats that are sent out. Used to, if you sent out death threats to let alone the president, but a politician or anyone receiving death threats, you were criminally charged. And you still should be. I remember a time when it was considered a serious offense, a serious threat. It'd be like yelling out fire in the middle of a theater. Or yelling fire when there is no fire in a public place. At least that's the way I remember it to be. It was a crime. All these people calling for the death of the president. And spelling out exactly how they would do it. Where's the Secret Service on them? Where's this government which is supposedly to uphold the law at during that time? These people should be criminally charged for spitting out hate speech. But they're not. If they had been Democrat, hosting a Democratic party anywhere, hosting a Democratic dinner, whatever, they would have been like, okay, that's cool. But because they weren't, they were given death threats. And to see that happening even in Tennessee, a place that was majority Republican, I mean, it's ridiculous. Really. Anywhere, really. It's ridiculous. Death threats over your political opinion? What kind of world do we live in now? Anyway, people have posted they love our food, but will no longer come to the restaurant. I have never in my life experienced such a thing, the owner of the restaurant said. It's scary. Yes, it is very frightening to live in a world like this, where you can't even state your opinion without being physically and verbally abused. Imagine if someone had said something like this about the homosexual community. Imagine if someone had said something about the LGBT community, or verbally abused that community. Or imagine if someone had said something against a Democratic Party, or we're going to take you down, or called them names, threatening death threats on the Democratic Party. Now, I know it was to the owner, but still it's ridiculous. Imagine if it had been the other way around. There would have been a thorough investigation into it, and they would have been charged. This person said, I can't believe, the owner of the restaurant said, I can't begin to tell you how awful it was. He said, the owner of the restaurant said, they called me a racist, a bigot, a Nazi. They called me an expletive. They called him several swear words. Plenty of times. And one guy told me to watch my back. You better watch your back. And kept calling him an abuser, a racist, a Nazi. Referring to, you better watch your back, how one of the callers left a teenage female employee in tears. If you're threatening a 17-year-old minor, they threatened a 17-year-old minor over the phone with death threats and threatening people to watch your back. When does it ever stop being freedom of speech and becoming a threat? That's not freedom of speech. And there's Marsha Blackburn there, at the Mount Juliet restaurant, which received all of this hate and negativity for absolutely nothing more than expressing freedom of speech and expressing a political opinion. The Juliet restaurant receives backlash after Marsha Blackburn visited. He said, I run a business, and said that he needs to make money with his business and will rent out a room to whoever person or whatever group needs it. If they pay to rent the room, he will rent it to them. That's his right, and that's their right to ask for the room. He has the right to offer or refuse service to anyone, but he decided he would offer his room, and he said he needs to make money. She wanted the room. She paid for it. He gave it to her. So he rents it nearly every day to musicians, local clubs, and many other groups. But because it was Marsha Blackburn, a Republican, he received death threats and hate. Not only death threats to him, but threats that the minors working there had better watch their back, implying death threats on them. Anyone else that said something to someone under 18 like that, they would have been under immediate investigation. He said he'd rent the room. He'd rent it to the campaign of Phil Bredesen, the former Tennessee governor, who was running on the Democratic ticket for senator against Blackburn. He said he would rent it to Blackburn or Bredesen, whomever wanted the room and paid for it. In a social media post hitting back at his critics, he said, this is a family restaurant. It sells food. When people come in and order food, we sell it to them. We book events for all sorts of things, including charities, business alliances, social organizations. It could be a politician. It could be a musician. It could be anyone. They said, we do not discriminate on race, religion, or political affiliation or anything. We rent a room to anyone. No matter what your background, your belief, political opinion, understanding, no matter what you are or what you look like, he rents a room to you if you ask and pay for it. But he noted that all kinds of people from the community enjoy his food, and they enjoy the customers. So it's like a family atmosphere. We have all manner of people eating in our establishment every day. They sit beside each other as neighbors, and they get along just fine. We are a family restaurant. Now, it was probably calls coming in from people trying to That it might not even been people in the local area. It might have been people online on social media that seen it, and they were calling and threatening, and they might not even been from the area. They might have just been threatening to from other areas. Who knows? Calling in from other areas, threatening when they found out on social media that she would be there to make it look bad. Who knows? I don't know. It's getting ridiculous. We are a family restaurant. Everyone there is family. We treat with integrity and respect, he said. Our employees' political affiliations are all their own. We have both parties that have represented, and we work shoulder to shoulder each day. No matter which political side that his employees are on, they work together. He said they would appreciate you treating us with the same respect that we treat each of you. Marsha Blackburn then tweeted out that the radical left is out of control. Their angry mob is right here in Tennessee now. We appreciate you opening your restaurant to us, to Tom, and we hope you are treated the same, with the same respect as you treat your customers. Blackburn and Bredesen responded. Blackburn took to Twitter to slam that angry mob, threatening he and his staff. First of all, you're supposed to treat others as you would want to be treated. Isn't that the golden rule? That's the golden rule. People have forgotten that rule. The radical left is out of control. Their angry mob is right here in Tennessee. Treat others with respect as you treat your customers. Bredesen campaign said that they're not invited in the backlash against Courtney's. They're not involved, sorry. They're not involved in the backlash against Courtney's restaurant. Any protest was not connected for the Bredesen for Senator campaign or the Tennessee Democratic Party in any sort of way, he said. That's what the Tennessee Democratic Party spokesperson stated to the Wilson County Post, that the Democratic Party in Tennessee did not have anything to do with that. In fact, the Bredesen campaign will probably take Tom Courtney up on his offer of renting the same space, Brown said. So it's likely that the Democratic Party will rent the same space, and Tom will let them. Courtney said that he appreciated the comments and said he would, because of the threats that he's received, he's decided to vote for Blackburn. So, I mean, it didn't used to be a death threat when you didn't agree with a political party. It's gotten ridiculous. I mean, it's like, for example, I mean, look at the, I'm not putting hate on anyone. I never represent hate toward anyone. I put out love, peace, love, and respect. Peace, love, and respect to everyone. But when you're infringing on someone else's rights and someone else's freedom of speech, you draw the line. You went over the line. You've gone over the line. And you've got to draw the line somewhere. When everyone can do whatever they want based on a certain right, that's just wrong. If it had been if they had been expressing, for example, pride parades, they can do whatever they want at the pride parades. There's no laws abide there, whatever. Because it's considered freedom of expression or freedom of speech, they can do whatever they want, while someone else would be arrested for the same thing. And I'm not getting into the details of what, but they're mixing all of this stuff in, and if someone just acts with dignity, respect, equality, and kindness, just peace, love, and respect is what I state. If someone just acted and respected the others, like the golden rule states, which has been supposed to have been passed down, but this generation seems to have forgotten the golden rule completely. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. I still remember that from childhood, embedded in my mind. I treat everyone with peace, love, and respect. And it just seems to me that if this had been a representation, if it had been representing another type of thing, such as Democratic Party or Pride or something like that, they could have gotten away with doing whatever they wanted and still not been in trouble and not received death threats. But if a Republican wanted to rent out the place and act respectful and kind and just support their own political party or have a rally or whatever, You're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're a hater, you're a horrible, racist, evil, vile person. Really? Really? When did we get to this point? Actually, it was during the previous administration. But seriously, what is with all these sheeple? What is with all of these people who their minds just mind controlled? I mean, peace, love, and respect. Whoops. Peace, love, and respect to all. You can get by with whatever as long as it fits their agenda. That's basically it. Another thing is, you can do whatever if it supports Pride or the Democratic Party, liberals, whatever. You can do whatever you want. There's no boundaries. But just a simple meeting, a breakfast meeting, gets death threats for a Republican Party. It's crazy. It's a crazy world. It really has become a crazy world. Just get along. Stop listening to the media and everyone mind controlling you into thinking a certain way. Stop listening to all of this hate. Think for yourself, but don't put hate on others because they feel differently than you do, or support a different political point of view than you do. Don't hate them. Just move along. Get along and try to make this a better world. When did that stop? Anyway, that's all I have to say. She seems like a very nice person. And Marsha Blackburn seems like a kind, very great individual. And I agree with many things she states. I mean, I don't know her I don't know her entire life story. But she seems like a great person. And that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. There's no need for death threats. There's no need for the hate from these people that supposedly promote love so much. So let's put out real love. Peace, love, and respect. Stop being mind controlled. Much love. That's all I have to say. Peace. Bye.